you're going to use something like this, there is a significant likelihood that you're going to be losing a ton of muscle. Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about weight loss and Ozempic. And I'm going to tell you that I'm not buying the hype. I haven't bought the hype on Ozempic for a very long time. All the rest of the GLP-1 drugs. And I think that it is a terrible idea to, if you want to lose weight, to get on something like this, because I think there's a big downside. So we're going to talk about that in the show. And mind you, I'm going to remind everybody who hasn't been with me before that I lost 83 pounds in 1 year, and I did it through diet and minimal exercise. So I feel like I have a lot of credibility on this subject, especially when it comes to day in, day out, being disciplined, and figuring out a way to lose weight without Ozempic. So let's get into it. Remember when it came on the scene? I mean, Ozempic was this big deal that happened. Somebody who was some celebrity, down in Hollywood, got on Ozempic and told everybody that they lost a ton of weight. And guess what? It just went like wildfire. It's something that was an off-label use for a diabetic drug. So, yeah, of course, if you take something that doesn't make you hungry and it basically, stalls out this craving of, wanting to eat food, then of course you're going to lose weight. But what are you giving up when you're using something like this, right? And let me give you an example. I was talking to someone, one of my clients. I walked in, and she comes up to me, and she says, "Hey, can you get me some better insurance?" And I was like, "What do you mean better insurance?" I said, "You have great insurance. What are we talking about here?" And she goes, "Well, it doesn't cover Ozempic, and I need Ozempic." And I was like, "Why? Why do you need Ozempic? Why?" She goes, "I've tried everything, and so on and so forth. But my sister got it, and guess what? She lost 35 pounds." So I'm thinking, well, is this like 35 pounds in 6 months, 3 months? She goes, "No, it's 35 pounds in a year." So if you do the math, that's like, I don't know, less than half a pound a month or half a pound a week. And the whole point is that she was willing to inject this into her body, right, to essentially lose weight for a result of half a pound a week. And I was like, you could do that. You could do that by calorie deficit, eating, exercising. And I totally get it. She's like, "Look, you know what? I've tried so many different things. I've struggled with her weight." Well, I have too. I have gone up. I have gone down. I've done the whole yo-yo thing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, I've lost a lot of weight and then put it all back on. And it's just been an absolute roller coaster. But here's the thing. I mean, I've done it, but always through some level of diet, exercise, whether it was paleo. This last time I lost 83 pounds, I did keto. It worked really well for me, right? But it was the desire to just say enough is enough, and I wanted to do that. But in the end, sure, if somebody wants to take a drug, like Ozempic, to be able to do that, then they should really understand what the risks are. So if you're losing weight, based on this medication, there's a lot of studies that say that you lose a lot of muscle. So if you're losing muscle, so let's talk about the mechanics. The more muscle you have, right, the better your metabolism is, right? It burns calories. That's the whole point. So people say, hey, if I can get lean muscle mass and, lose a lot of fat, then I can have a better success ratio of burning calories and making my metabolism more efficient. I mean, that's the goal. But if you're losing weight and you're losing muscle, when you stop taking this drug, guess what happens, right? Your metabolism is going to be shot. You're not going to have that muscle that you used to because it's gone. You've lost it. And the end result is going to be that your metabolism isn't going to function efficiently. So if it doesn't function efficiently, guess what happens when you start eating again? Because you're not on a drug that suppresses, your hunger and makes you not want to eat. So you start eating like a normal person. Maybe you don't even eat as much as you used to. And guess what's going to happen? It's simple science, right? If you continue to gain weight because you don't have an efficient metabolism, because you burn a bunch of muscle because you took this drug. So the long-term implications of this are dangerous. So I've seen several people do this, have weight loss success, and then when they get off of it, they gain a bunch of weight and even more weight than when they started. And the worst part about it is I don't really think they're gaining all their muscle back, right? So it's just fat. So you're worse off than when you started. So people really need to pay attention to this because not only is that the particular case, but man, there's all sorts of stuff that, talk about the different side effects, right? There's like nausea, there's vomiting, there's diarrhea. I mean, these are all the unpleasant things that you don't want to talk about that potentially happen, if you're on Ozempic. But the big thing that I really want to drive home is that it's absolutely crazy what people will do to try to get Ozempic covered on their insurance. And I get it. If they believe in their mind that this is the only way, the absolute only way that they're going to be able to lose weight, I mean, yeah, people are going to try whatever to get this thing covered. I've had all sorts of stories. People have tried, diet, exercise, and guess what? If you go to the right doctor, most of them are just going to write that down and they're going to be like, yeah, you did this. But the craziest story that I ever heard, and again, I mean, I always take these things very seriously. If somebody comes to me and says to me that they have a problem and they need help, getting this particular authorization, for a drug, of course, we're going to go out and try to help them. But what was really crazy to me is they went to their doctor and their doctor actually wrote that they were in pre-kidney failure. Okay. They said that they were going to be in kidney failure and eventually, it was going to be end stage. Right. So I'm sitting there going, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And they said the only way that they would avoid kidney failure is if they got a GLP-1. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So you're basically saying that this person, yes, they were overweight and they wanted to lose weight, but you're willing to actually attest that this person was going to potentially, keyword, potentially, because I asked her, I was like, oh my gosh, are you in kidney failure? She's like, no, I'm in pre-kidney failure. But if I don't get this, I could potentially have kidney failure. But it was absolutely crazy to me that there was going to be a doctor out there that was willing to put that to see if they could get that authorized. And guess what? It didn't get approved. It got declined because a lot of carriers, they're not covering it anymore because it's so expensive and they're not covering it for weight loss. If you have diabetes, then yes, it's covered. They will cover it for that. That was the original intentional use. But I'm telling you guys, you have to do your homework, do your research. Take it from somebody who lost 83 pounds. It can be done in a year. I probably could have done it even faster, if I was a little bit more efficient on my weight loss. And yes, it does take hard work. But the best part about it is that if you're doing it properly, you're not losing muscle, you're not potentially having some long-term health issue because this hasn't been around that long. There hasn't been enough time to actually study the implications. And there's so many things that I could probably go on and on and on about, of stories of people having really bad adverse reactions to this. So, but the biggest thing that I would say is it's the most common. So let's drive it home. If you're going to use something like this, there is a significant likelihood that you're going to be losing a ton of muscle when you're losing weight. So when you come off of this thing, the rebound yo-yo effect is going to be exponential because you don't have that muscle there. So think about that. If you know someone who's actually considering using this weight loss drug or just absolutely thinks that, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread and this is the answer to everything that they've been wanting as far as weight loss, share this episode with them. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. Either way, either side of the coin, whether you're for it, whether you're against it, I'd love to hear a story. Leave a comment. If you have a moment, rate the show. And I always appreciate it if you guys subscribe. You can find us on YouTube at Hey Charles Biz, Hey Charles 77 on Instagram and TikTok, Hey Charles on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and Charles Ernst on LinkedIn. See you next time.